Hello everyone, my name is Gaurav Sawan. I'm today's host for this Smart Talk, this edition of Smart Talk. So let me first welcome today's speaker, Mr. Kuldeep Parashar. Kuldeep, he is the creator of Pension Box, India's first digital pension platform, backed by 100x VC and other investors. Kuldeep aims to provide personalized pension plans for millions of Indians. He experiences over 7 years at Wipro Consulting and Fidelity Investments in India and the UK, which has helped him develop this wonderful platform. So now let's understand how this platform can help our employees to secure our financial future. Over to you, Kuldeep.
Let me quickly share my screen. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out this time. I think it's very much important for us and for everyone to understand what we're trying to do. And I'll take it very interactive. I'll keep it interactive in a way, and I won't make it. I try to won't make it any boring part of it for sure. So let me quickly share my screen and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much again to coming up and joining this particular webinar. The first thing that I would like to announce here is that Pension Box is an early stage startup. We have been in space for about 2 years, and we are coming on Amazon Prime on 19th of December, which is 4 days down the line. And we'll talk more about why pension is needed, why retirement is needed in a very different way, which can be easily understandable. Today, we'll more focus on why it's important to take care of the employee part of it and how we can do that. But the first thing that I want to start off with this particular announcement that we are there. Do watch us on Prime when you get chance. It's called Mission Startup. That's the Prime series that is coming up, and we'll talk more about Pension Box there as well. So the first thing first, right? Why are we even doing this? So the main goal here is to reimagine retirement planning for millions of Indians, majorly employee segment to start with. And the overall goal that we start off with was to improve the way our people plan retirement, right? So be it an employee or an employer, how can we engage people and make them they're aware enough so that they end up doing this particular vision, right? Very early stage team. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Pension Box. I'll talk more about myself, but this is what we are trying to do at Pension Box, and then we'll talk more about both the aspects of being an employee and being an employer, and what our role that we play, and what are the key factors we move forward with. Right. About me, I've been in the industry for about 9 years. I'm a certified retirement advisor, NSM certified, worked in US retirement space, also looked at the global retirement space as well. But 2 years back, we started Pension Box, and then a lot of learnings from US space that we carried out, and then we started Pension Box here. Apart from that, Pension Box, 2 years early stage company, first pension app for privately employed workforce, PFRDA, which is the regulator in India, is approved. We are ISO certified. We have more than 1.5 lakh users. We have more than 3,300 crores of pension savings on the platform. And we'll talk more about why we need to think more about this particular part. First thing first, right? So a lot of people do consider this, okay, why do we need to think about planning the future, or why do we need to make sure that our employees are ready to do this, right? So what are the key main factors that are changing across the globe, or especially in India, that will basically made us to do this particular part, and we are here to talk more about it. First thing is that we are an aging population. There's no doubt about it. The next 20 to 30 years, we'll see a huge population shift which will move towards retirement in next 20 to 30 years, right? Even today, we have about 13 crore people. By the time we reach 2050, we will have about 340 million. So there'll be a new age, like 186 million about people who will retire newly, right? So they have to do it themselves, or they have to supported by an employer, which we usually do in form of PF and other benefits, but has to plan their own retirement. So there has to be a need to cover that up. There are a couple of key factors that are changing this particular dynamics globally, but I'll talk more about India as such. But there are three major factors that are looking. First is life expectancy. So that is something which is changing across the globe. People are living more down the line. India is also changing that. It's about 80 at the moment. It's going to keep on increasing. Second is the health expenses. So we all know that the health expenses, as we move forward, has to keep on increasing, and then has to cater to a particular good amount of money when we are in 50s or 60s or moving forward from there. The third very specific thing which is changing in Indian specific domain, especially in, everyone, be it an employer or employee, that's a family and a social change, right? So we are not living in a joint family anymore. We are in nuclear families. We try to live in a very small structure, similar to Pele. In older days we used to have a joint family structure where you basically think retirement is your kids, right? Your Bhagwan story was basically true, but now that has changed. There's a social change happening in India, which is very specific to India, not across the globe, but that is also making people to get making sure that they have planned their future ahead, right? There are a couple of more things apart from that. There are a couple of challenges that we face because of this entire thing happening. One is very unique, which is late realization. So we realize this little later. We don't think about this in 20s. We do usually start off in their 30s, but 40s and 50s we aggressively work on that. Right? There's a lack of financial knowledge on retirement planning or pension planning, or thinking about this can be done as early as we can and can be done very differently. Right? And third, there are a lot of issues with retirement products. So all the old age products are still there, issues with existing PF, there's issues with all the existing policies that people hold, right? So not much innovation has happened across this entire journey when you talk about a person who's doing a lot thing there, right? So there's a lot of thing that has gone through that particular part, and that was one of the reasons where we decided okay, we can keep our focus in pension and retirement, make sure that we solve for each and every issue along the journey, which can help an employee think about, can he do it themselves? Can they solve their older PF problems? Can they simplify the more savings towards their retirement and building that corpus and eventually withdrawing that corpus as well? So a lot of innovation, much is needed in the retirement space as such, and that's where we started off doing that. Once we talk about that, so we know that there's a huge problem coming up. There's a aging population. We are in 30s. We think about it. Employees usually think about early retirement when they are young. Then people think about just having enough savings for the retirement as well. And that makes us do pension box and create this entire solution altogether, right? So pension box is a platform where you can cover up four major simple things, right? And this is not just pension box, it's in general. You basically do four things, right? So you do planning, where either you want to create over your Excel itself, or you want to track down your savings. If you've done PF, you have bought a couple of LICs, you have saved up a couple of FDs for yourself, you have bought a land where you have rental income, so you have to track down whatever you already done for your retirement. Third is you invest more towards your retirement part, and lastly it's the withdrawal. So when you talk about not just let's forget about the pension box for a moment. If we just talk about generally how retirement planning and pension planning works, it's these four modules itself. So first, where we plan. Second, we track down your existing savings. Third, we look at investing and build up whatever the gap is there, and eventually withdrawing from there, right? So these are the four pillars of making sure that we plan it your own way, track it, invest in, and then withdraw. We'll go deeper in each of these segments. I'll also show you how it can be done very easily along the journey. Well, we'll go one by one and talk about each of these points and how we can basically encourage people to do it themselves. You don't have to sit with them and then teach each and every point. These are very intuitive, one by one step that people can follow. First thing is where people plan their retirement, right? So there's a one simple way to look at your expenses today and look at the expenses, the age your employees or any one person wants to retire at. So let's say I'm at 30 and I want to retire at 60. So I look at my expenses with inflation, look at what are the expenses I'll having by the time I want to retire. And that's based on that, you build up a corpus that this is the money you need to remain sufficient for your retirement phase. So let's say 60 to 80 is your retirement phase. That's how the money you need in your corpus, right? So you look at the retirement planning piece. What you already see in the market is pension calculator or retirement calculator. Instead of having that, I would request everyone to go about iterating that plan. So instead of saving 20,000 for 25 years and then realizing that this is not enough, you keep saving small time and keep iterating on based on the real values. So instead of doing a one-time calculator thing, do a dynamic planning where keep on changing based on your own data. So that's what can be done on pension box. But there's a first step where you create a plan where you look at your expenses, look at your income, look at the bifurcation of that, and then based on that, figure out how much money you need or how much pension you need for 20 years or 30 years or so, and what is the corpus that is needed. So just forget about the screenshot there, but I'll show you exactly how it looks when you do it yourself in the first part. So the very first thing that we help you or employee come in is to create that plan. First to get the learning done, how our expenses grows, how the corpus is built, and how the yearly goal can be set and keep on doing that iteratively. That's the very first part of building up the plan, right? So that's one thing which we start off with. That's very important to learn how the retirement planning works and can be done through an not an Excel or not an a one-time calculator, but can be done iteratively with your own data and automatically. Second thing, which is very important, and I've seen a gap here in the market because a lot of people keep selling a couple of policies one after another, but without asking, have you saved enough or not, right? So you already have a PF, you might already have a couple of policies, you might have mutual fund, but once you put all together, then you get to know, okay, this is my corpus already built, and this is the gap in my savings, right? So the second step of retirement planning or making sure that your employees know that PF is not an expense, but is basically your savings for your future. So from a deduction point of view to a saving point of view, that's how the landscape changes, right? So once you track down your savings, be it a PF, so what we can do is we can track down using an API where the moment you put down UN number, you put down your OTP, everything is fetched, and you can see all your savings in one place, be it a PPF, EPF, National Pension Scheme, FDs, and more to come from there. But overall, if you want to look at it, that every person should put together their savings first, and then look at what is the gap in my savings that I need to put on, right? So let's assume that in planning, our goal came out to be 4 crores, but our PF will become, let's say, 80 lakhs. So my effective goal is not 4 crores anymore. I don't have to do SIP for 4 crores. I have to do SIP for something else, which is a lesser amount. So tracking is very important with planning, and it has to be interlinked with the data. That's the second important point. Third is investing. So as you can see, there is multiple benefits when it comes to retirement savings, be it a long-term policy that you buy or you buy NPS or you save in FDs. All these things gives you, most of the times gives you tax benefit, right? So investing when it comes to retirement also comes with tax benefit part of it, but also has to be done in a way where you have already done something. What is the gap? And then let's break down that gap to a yearly goal level, right? So in pension box, you have national pension scheme where you can invest in. You have a couple of more things coming up, but NPS, corporate NPS, both the things are there. Where NPS can have tier one account and tier two account. Tier one account offers you tax benefit, but there are lock-ins similar to PF. But tier two account you can withdraw and put money anytime. So investing has to be done in a very same way that tracking was done, in a very PF some amount in PF, some amount in NPS tier one, tier two, or some in FDs. Everything has to be built up in a corpus so that overall goal has to be achieved, right? Lastly, which is, I think we felt it very uniquely done, where no one talks about how to withdraw the money once it goes in, right? So everyone talks about creating SIPs, everyone talks about putting money in the market, but no one talks about what is the effective way of withdrawing that market money and put it to use. So the last module that we have built in is the last process of retirement planning as well, is where you figure out what is the best way to withdraw that money and then put it to use. So by the time I come to my retirement age, my 65% will become 100%. And what is the effective way of managing that money once it is there, right? So withdrawal is a very important part where we started building in, creating awareness and how much and how to withdraw from where, right? So that is the last withdrawal part, and these are the 4 different modules of retirement planning. And now comes the part where how can an employee do it, and how can an employer helps him or her do this particular 4 modules and learn these modules by their own and keep iterating moving forward, right? So there's 2 things, which is, again, so employee, there are a couple of benefits. There are learnings involved. They have to learn their own way instead of going through multiple YouTube videos or multiple going through. There has to be a static, there has to be a way which is regulated, approved. Someone who's done the job and then do it dynamically has to be there. Second is personalized. So every individual create their own plan, right? They create their own way. So someone wants to die early, someone wants to die late, and it has to be done in a similar way. And lastly, the pension savings or pension money is mostly tax benefited. So it's a triple E product, be it a PF or a national pension scheme, or if you do FD, mostly you get tax benefit. And most of the time when you plan for your future in a long run, these are the one thing that goes along with that. I'll take forward with this because I think it is self-explanatory from there. On an employer side, there's one thing which is I feel which we have done both the way. So we have talked to a couple of companies as well, we have talked to a couple of partners as well, and we have talked to individuals as well. What we have seen is there is a appreciation level when it comes to employer offering it to their employees. And I'll break it down to two parts. One, so there's one session for people who are below 35, where we cover little aggressive, little more about how can they plan their early retirement, what is the main factors to avoid that, because there's a lot of buzz about early retirement in the market where people sell courses, they go to a particular part. So instead of doing that, below 35, there has to be one session which is very specific to that. And above 35 to 55 or 65, we can personalize that, saying that, okay, let's plan it more strategically when it comes to age division. So when it comes to employer offering it there to employees, we can divide that to a particular part where it has to be specifically calling for that particular person. We have heard a good feedback so far on this particular approach where employer comes together and offers it to their employees, and then employees can take their own call whether what they want to do or not. So instead of doing that, have corporate NPS for everyone, or just planning for everyone, let the employee take the call if they feel the need. So learn, feel the need, and then they do it themselves, right? But employer has to be the catalyst behind that and then move forward from there. What we have done from the other side is that once we have seen that there has to be impact towards that, so first people start realizing that PF is not a reduction every month, but it's goes somewhere and builds up from there, right? There has to be more to offer. Employers keep doing that from different benefits, different financial benefits, or different other employee benefits. So there has to be more to offer, and we are one of the things which can be add on there. Lastly, the analytics part. So what we have done, which is too little different, because being a startup, you keep innovating whatever dashboard or whatever feature you're building. So what we have done is that we created a dashboard for a corporate as well, where you can actually check the readiness of the employee. So how people are engaging, how many people have done what, not exactly the amount, but at least the analytics towards it, saying that is my entire company have planned out, right? Or is my entire company have gone through the learning wala part or not? So we have built up the entire journey, not just for employee, but for the employer as well, where they can nudge people, we can come down again and then teach them again. So it has to be a long-term journey where we keep coming back and then teaching them how to move forward from there. So if someone skipped the first time, they come on board the second time when the time is right. Right. So there's a second part to it when it employers enable this for their employees and then move forward from there. Even if we don't, go about this, it is create a positive impact overall instead of just doing nothing there and then PF being the deductions on the side. Better retention is something which we have seen in the US part of it, but it has to be done. And once we have the data, we have to utilize it in India, seeing that how can it changes. It has to be 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Then it goes along with it. But in general, if you talk about financial well-being, people keep to stick around longer compared to people who are not, right? The third thing is integration with the apps. So we are here. We are working with a couple of HRT companies. We are working with Pocket HRMS as well, where we look at how can we do that and then integrate further. Uh, Lastly, with that, I'll take a pause. I'll take a pause because this is something which is a long journey along the line, learning about retirement, planning it, withdrawing it. There's a lot of issues along with NPS or PPF or other things, but it's evolving, and we are the I think we are grateful that we are one of the first company to start working in this particular segment and then moving to reimagine this particular space. So I would love to have a word, see if there's an impactful way we can create for the employees and the employer both together. And this is how we go about and doing that. Okay, I'll take 1 minute and I'll show you one quick thing, which is my own account, and then I think that will give you a little more context of how planning exactly works, right? So when I talked about planning, this is my plan looks like. So I've created my plan of my expenses, my goal, how much I wanna, what is my total corpus that I'm needed, right? And I simply can look at what is my yearly goal to move forward with. So this is what happens with the summarizing part. If you want to make changes, you want to see, make your own plan. You put down your details, you put down your income expenses, you set up your risk. Eventually, this is where the dream retirement happens, right? So I can choose early retirement. I can choose a city which is Goa or any other city which I like, right? Move forward from there. Once I update my plan, the moment it goes, it tells me how much money I needed, right? It talks about everything from what is my total expenses to what will I need, what is my total goal look like, which how much money I need for 30 years in retirement, what is my yearly goal this particular year, which is financial year. So instead of even my goal was 8 crores this year, I need to save this much. I can change that as well in the long run, right? National pension scheme is one of the products where you can invest and then look at tax benefits and tier two as well. And then maybe here I can change it. So maybe 2.5 lakhs is too much. I can move forward saying that, okay, 58 will work. That of 59 will work. The moment I update that, my yearly goal is updated and I've already invested some money there. So it's planning is straightforward without you doing over anything. So even if you choose to do it over Excel or do it over a doc, planning is very straightforward and keeps on iterating as you keep on saving or you keep on tracking your own existing savings, right? So let's look at my existing savings. So for if you look at my PF, I have tracked down my PF here. I work for Wipro, I work for Fidelity. These are my withdrawals. These are my data, which look like right now I have just 2 lakhs, but it will become 16 lakhs, right? So all those things are interlinked with each other. When you build up your corpus, you plan, you track, and eventually you invest to save more towards that. So if you look at my withdrawals, it will show me, okay, my 45% is withdrawable. Out of that, how can I withdraw from what area, right? What are the steps to go about it? So all those things from retirement planning perspective, from day one to day end, it's covered under the same platform. The added benefit here is that for an employer, uh, you can see who's doing what, and then you can nudge them to move forward as well, right? And there's one last thing that I'll show you is that you are basically controlling everything, be a deactivate or delete account or everything on the part where it become flexibility, right? So this is exactly how it looks like. There's more to it when you want to learn more about, let's say, national pension scheme, tier one account or tier two account. What are the key benefits? Who are the fund managers? Everything when it comes to retirement is there in just one place. So that gives you a more idea about how employee can use it or you can use it yourself to look at, okay, this is where I stand now and take the next step.